this is why we invited you, because of your experience in international affairs, international law, to talk about a very relevant and pressing topic right now, which is sanctions. A lot of companies were affected both in America, in Russia, and internationally, based on sanctions, embargoes placed upon the Russian Federation. So let's get into that. Tell me, are all transactions prohibited with Russian citizens and companies, or just the ones that are on the sanctions list?
There are certainly not all of the transactions that are prohibited.
Okay.
The sanctions, the structure of the sanctions provides two main levels. One is the list of persons with whom you are not allowed, you meaning a person in the United States, and that's certainly something to discuss, who is the U.S. person.
Right.
And another is the type of transactions or type of sectors that you cannot be involved in. And there are different types of sanctions. There are sanctions that prohibit dealing with certain specific persons, but also there are sanctions that prohibit exportation of articles of goods from the United States or services from the United States to certain specific persons.
Okay, very good. But if you do employ Russians who are allowed to be employed, that you could do business with, how would you pay for their services right now? Because a lot of banking transactions are just not there anymore. We know that money transfer companies refuse to do business with the Russians, banks. So how would you pay for services? Isn't that a big concern?
Well, that's certainly a good question. And one thing that should be noted here is that the banks do not necessarily decline this type of transactions because they're under sanctions per se, but because they create high risk. The bank internally, they evaluate risks of such accounts. And even though the person is not under sanctions, you might have difficulties, as you noted, with providing payments to these persons, or providing payments or receiving payments from these persons as well. For if you provide services from the United States to persons in Russia, there are alternative methods of payments, cryptocurrency. There are others, but generally speaking, the banks are playing on the very safe side.
Yeah, I can understand that, because you don't want to be run afoul of the sanctions.